Right, 27 September 2020, and I'm joined by Mr. Khaliphani Phugeni, spokesman of the MDC-T. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. How are you? And hello to the listeners at home and wherever they may be.
Okay, thank you very much. And I know many people are going to be sleeping now, so they'll probably watch this in the morning. And I want us to deal with a number of issues. So there's about 6 issues that I want us to deal with. And I hope that you'll be able to provide us with answers. The first issue that I wanted us to talk about was the report in the Daily News on Friday that the MDC-T is going to be recalling at least 38 more MPs and hundreds of councillors. I don't know if you saw that report.
No, I didn't see the report. I don't, well, you know, my attitude towards Zimbabwean journalism, so I don't put much premium on it. So I don't invest hard-earned cash on these news, on these media houses in our country. Unfortunately, you know my attitude. The work they are doing propaganda, malicious propaganda in the main for the alliance. And this is what you are seeing here. There is no basis for this reporting. There is no such a thing. It is meant to portray us as reckless leadership. It is meant to portray us as vindictive people. It is meant to portray us as people who are out there to damage rather than build. So there is absolutely no basis whatsoever to that reporting. I have not read it. You probably have read it. You know what basis they are giving, but there is zero basis. Seated here, I can tell you now, there's absolutely no basis to that reporting, except to note that it's malicious propaganda done by Zimbabwean media, and they always do this on behalf of the imposters that were disposed by the Supreme Court.
Okay, but in this very article, the Daily News spoke to the MDC-T chairman, Morgan Komichi, and I want to read what he said in his response. He says, Komichi said the party standing committee resolved on Wednesday to sack all legislators and councillors who are on Chamisa's side, and this will happen soon, said Komichi. So I don't know if this is a mistake on the part of the journalist, or it is Chairman Komichi again differing with you.
Well, I'm the official spokesperson of the party, and I want to tell you what I'm giving you is an official position of the party. We are not firing 38 and 100 councillors. There is no basis for that reporting whatsoever. It's not there. It doesn't exist.
Okay. This is the second time I have had to clarify something between yourself and Chairman Komichi. Is there a disagreement between yourself and Chairman Komichi in terms of what you're communicating to the media?
No, not at all. Remember, I'm assuming here that number one, what you are saying is true. And then after we've dealt with that headly, then we have to look at the report itself. You also have to assume that what the journalist is claiming about Honorable Senator Komichi is true, right? So if the answer is yes on both occasions, I am giving you an official position of the party in my capacity as the spokesperson of the party. We are not firing 38 MPs. We are not firing 100 senators. We're not firing 100 councillors. Now, for you to check if I'm lying to you or I'm telling the truth, you don't have to struggle. I mean, Parliament will be open on Tuesday. And the office of the Minister of Local Government will be opened on Monday. In fact, Parliament is also open Monday. You can actually go to Parliament and check with the Clerk of Parliament. You can also go and check with the Minister of Local Government. We are not firing any 100 MPs and any 38 MPs and any 100 councillors. There's no basis to that type of reporting.
Okay, can you then at least give me and the listeners here a view of what was discussed at the standing committee, which can be publicly discussed?
No, the position of the standing committee is that if there is information that the public needs to know, I will communicate it. So if I haven't communicated anything, remember I had an interview with you on Wednesday night, or Thursday night rather, that was the day after the standing committee. So if there was any major announcement to be made, I would have made that announcement in your media, in that interview which I had with you, or I'll have written a press statement. Anything else that is there, it will be internal communication with the SG angles.
Okay, I'm happy with that answer. So there is no recall of 38 MPs and hundreds of councillors. That is not the position of the MDC-T.
Whatsoever. I can tell you that's malicious. It's done for the benefit of the imposters. That I can tell you without a shadow of doubt.
Okay, thank you very much for that response. Let's go to the next point, which is what MDC Alliance President MDC, so the other MDC, Mr. Chamisa, said yesterday. I want to quickly play you that clip, then I'll ask you the question.
And those Mamaruta President, party not on this one. Put it register. Can I part where my elections? Because you cannot say what I'm party nobody's better. What will my elections? If there is no MDC Alliance, there are no elections in this country. If it is an election, it's not an election. And Quran is marking the beginning of the end of the crocodile in this country. Why do I take that road? We want to make sure to draw a line in the sand. Could I think for me is where it is what?
Right. That is Chamisa. He said if they are not allowed to use the name MDC Alliance in the by-elections, there will be no by-elections. What is your comment on that?
Okay, now that, because when I come here, I notice that most of the time I have to spend much of my time responding to questions related to Chamisa, and then your followers start saying, why does he always talk about Chamisa? I want them to take judicial notice that I answer questions that you ask me. Otherwise, if I avoided answering the Chamisa questions, most of these interviews will not happen, because those are the questions that you ask me. I don't just wake up in the morning. I've never come here and I've started a topic around Chamisa. You ask me questions and I answer. So now that you've asked me about him, and especially about his speech, you will allow me, because I noted a lot in his speech, which I might as well, in addressing your question, address all of it. So let me address his speech in entirety. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this, Kambako. I lived in the diaspora. You are not in the diaspora. South Africa is home. Trust me, you are not in the diaspora. I lived in the diaspora early 2000 to mid 2000. I remember somebody gave me a video of joyous celebration. And as I was listening to them, involuntarily saw tears starting dropping down my face. That's how I was missing home. So I have a lot of people that follow me from the diaspora, as you would know. So they depend upon me and largely via your platform to share with them what exactly is happening home. So I want to do a decent job in that regard. Now, I want to talk about the speeches you've asked me about what he said, part of the speech, but I want to talk about what I noted in that speech. I must say to you, I was moved when he took off his hat, the moment he was appreciating God and talking about the gift of life and God preserving us and all those things. I was really moved. I was moved when I saw that respect. He took off his hat in that portion when he was addressing issues to do with God, and then he put it back. That was moving. For me, that was the only part worth noting, because immediately after that, he then speaks of, he says Baba, and then he says Mukuru wetu, and at that point he was referring to Bama Madzore. He's our former youth leader. So he's in his 40s now. That's what he called him. He called him Baba Mukuri wetu. That's how he referred to him. In the same speech, he then refers to President Mnangagwa to Mkoma. That's what he does. So President Mnangagwa in his late 70s, I am older than NC. President Mnangagwa is older than my father. He refers to him as Mkoma. He refers to a young person, probably younger than him or just slightly older than him. He refers to him Baba wetu, Mkuru wetu. In the same speech, referring to President Mnangagwa, he says he's over 70, he's tired, he's old, he must rest. I hope you see the irony.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And then he comes to say he's celebrating 21 years of a cause and 21 years of a journey. This is a man who wants everyone to believe that he started a new party. But somehow, miraculously, that party has turned 21. And then he conveniently says, no, I'm celebrating a cause, I'm celebrating a journey. If you cross the Limpopo going south, you go to South Africa. In South Africa, there's a party called EFF. The EFF is actually the youth league of the ANC, which President Zuma kicked out. They went and they started their party. They challenged for parliamentary seats. They got the parliamentary seats. They are not fighting for Luthuli House. They are not fighting for anything that has to do with the youth league, not fighting for their slogans, for their regalia or anything. They started their own complete new thing. They are not even claiming the legacy of President Mandela. They are not doing that. You know that they were celebrating their own birthday just a few weeks ago. They don't celebrate the ANC birthday. They don't claim to be celebrating a journey, a cause, and all those things. What he is doing, he's basically stringing people along. He just goes for whatever works for him at the time. If starting a new party, having started a new party that has nothing to do with the MDC-T of Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, as he claimed in court, he says that. Now, if he wants to gain some mileage of association with anything that has to do with President Tsvangirai, then he tells you that that is what he is celebrating. Now, if people are not going to hold him accountable for that, then that's their own. That's their own doing. Now, he goes further to claim that we are actually not an opposition because we are opposing the opposition. We are actually not the alternative because we can't be an alternative to the alternative, which is a false narrative, by the way, but which he has successfully managed to sell. You brought me into your platform because there were a lot of accusations from Chamisa's group about us. They were the ones who started opposing us. And I came into your platform here to rebut the falsehoods and misinformation that they were planting out there about us. It is them that wanted to burn us in a hut in Puera. It is them that used tribal language against us. It is them that told us that we are Ndebeles, we can't ever rule Zimbabwe, we must go back to Matebele because we are dissidents. It's them. It's them who denied us the right to practice politics. It's them. It's them who rained bricks on us for over 3 hours, hitting an 8-year-old man, which is attempted murder. And I told you, the doctor said if I was 5 minutes late, that man was going to die. This is public record. It's known. If you come to Zimbabwe, I'll take you to the old man. If you come to Zimbabwe, I'll take you to a hut where Dr. Kupe and others found refuge, running away from Chamisa and these people, because they would never allow them, they wouldn't allow them to practice their political rights. They were denying them their political rights. So who is an opposition to opposition? Who is the one going against opposition? He claims in the very same speech that President Mnangagwa is pushing for a one-party state. Who is pushing for a one-party state here? Because I do not remember President Mnangagwa running after us, wanting to deny us the right to gather, the right to practice politics. That never happened. It's the alliance that is doing that. You have not seen violence from 2018 from ZANU-PF to other parties. You know that. Violence has only happened. MDC alliance attacking MDC-T people, or MDC alliance fighting journalists. Or that's what we have seen. So if there is a person, or if there is a group of people that is pushing for one party state, it will be the MDC alliance, not a ZANU-PF in this case, or us, because they claim that we are a project of ZANU. Now you speak in that speech of transforming Zimbabwe. You know the corruption of local government under him. That's not transforming government. You know very well how much corruption under his leadership in these 2 years. Just wait and see how much corruption we are going to be making public very soon, that we have unearthed that they were practicing. That's not transforming government. You just have to look at the sorry state, the poorer state of our local councils and local government under him. One case in point is the Luveve case, where citizens were dying when the city council was under him because of contaminated water, as they claim. We came in with Dr. Kupe. In just few weeks, we were able to go in there, deal with the matter. No one is dying. That's what I call responsible governance. That's what I call a governance for the future that the people of Zimbabwe deserve, not the governance that he presided over. In the very same speech, he speaks of the deaths in 2018 after the elections, the August deaths. But you must all take judicial notice that speaking in one occasion on the same deaths, he actually called those people that died stupid, posthumously so. That's what he called them. Now that he is trying to get votes using them, he is shamelessly now referring to their deaths so that he can gain political mileage. You must take that notice, that he attacked them and called them stupid after they had died. So I really don't want to give more mileage to the claim of stolen elections, because you also in the Concord, when he was given an opportunity to prove the theory that the election was stolen from him, he failed and failed dismally. Now he says we are not an alternative. We are an alternative. The only difference between us and him is that we understand statecraft. When we differ with government on policy issue, we don't go violent. We don't go and blacklist the country throughout the world. That's a Scotch a theory or approach. We don't use that. We leave it upon the voters in 2023 to make a decision. Let me give you a perfect example. We do not believe in the bond note, by the way. We have advanced a policy that says, go to the US dollar or multi-currency so that you give the country a breathing space, so that you can encourage investment, because there's no investor who wants to bring their hard currency into the country only to be rewarded with bond notes that they cannot take outside the country. So you're not going to get investment as a consequence. And without investment, you're not going to get employment. But the government is adamant that they must keep the bond note. Now, thanks to COVID in some way, because COVID-19 came here and then the government said, you can now use multi-currency. What has happened since? Because of multi-currents, they've now said all garages, they can now sell fuel in foreign currency. The queues have disappeared. Not only has the queues disappeared, you have also seen the prices coming down. This Friday, I bought fuel for 88 cents a liter, which I used to buy for 120 to 150 a liter. Now I'm buying it for 88 cents. Why? Because you've brought the US dollar. So all the time that we were spending in those queues, 12 hours and above, which was productive time, we can now use it productively so to help this economy. You have brought competition. The prices are coming down, which is good for business, which is good for consumers, which is good for everyone. Now, we are making this case, or we should be making this case, but we are not allowed to make this case because then the alliance brings in frivolous arguments, made up stories that we must defend ourselves every day. Instead of making this argument to say, look at this government, we told it that it must take away this bond note to give the country some breathing space so that it can reorganize itself. It said no. Anecdotal evidence has shown that if you bring the dollar or multi-currency, then you've got fuel, you've got everything in the country. You're giving it enough space so that investment can come, you can reorganize the country, and then people in 2023, they can actually say, you ZANU government, you're keeping this bond note, that is making our lives difficult. We are not voting for you. We are voting for those who are saying, let's have a solution. Let me go to this one, which I think is important. He then comes to the issue of Joanna Mamombe. And it's a very sad situation. And let me close with it. I've got a lot here, but let me close with the one for Joanna Mamombe. It's a very sad situation. But he says Honorable Mamombe was arrested because she complained. No, that's not true. That's not true. You know, former President Jacob Zuma across the Limpopo, he's got a case, a court case of corruption with regards to arms deal that has been running in like forever, which is unfair in my view, but it has been running on like forever. So in one instance, he could not attend court because we were outside the country for medical reasons. His legal team submitted a medical note, which the judge judged to be not credible. The High Court went ahead in South Africa to issue a warrant of arrest for President Zuma. And President Zuma was supposed to be arrested on arrival until he arrived in the country and we all saw how frail he was. But here's the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that when you are on bail and you do not attend court, you must favor the court with reasons why you could not attend court. And if the court does not deem or does not see or does not think that the reason why you could not attend court are justifiable, the court will order a warrant of arrest for you or will issue a warrant of arrest for you, then you get arrested. Why are they arresting you? They are not arresting you for the alleged crimes. They are arresting you to secure you for trial so that you can come to trial. So what am I saying to you? I am saying to you, the state in this case seems to have said the reasons given by Honorable Mamombe for not attending court are not justifiable. So they are keeping her in custody to secure her for trial, which trial is important because this issue of adoptions, whether the video is fake by a government or not, it's only an open trial or a competent court of law that can determine that. So it is important that this trial is not delayed. It is important that we deal with these matters quickly. I know I said this is going to be the last one, but allow me to do the HH issue. He also says in that speech, if he wants to take HH violently, he can do that. That's what he says. Now, let me tell you what he's doing. He's doing what is called dog whistling there. He's basically sending a signal to his followers that when I give you the signal, or it is the signal that I'm giving you, go and do and take that headquarters violently against a court order, against a peace order, against a high court ruling, just to do it anyway. Now, the state is taking notice of that, by the way, just as you should also be taking judicial notice of it as the media, but you are not doing your job. You are reporting on false reports. So when they are coming to Harvest House, which we know they will come, of course, don't be surprised when you see the police in full force, because he has told us that whether we are there, of course we know, because he rainstormed on us for 3 hours and wanted to kill an 80-year-old man. Of course, we know that he can do that because he wanted to burn us alive in a hut for being Ndebele. We know that. He can do it. But in this case, he says, I can come whether the police are there or whether the MDC-T people are there. So when they come, when the state comes to make sure that nothing of such happens, you shouldn't have problems with it. We don't want to see America tweeting very unhelpful tweets. We don't want to see Mmusi Maimane tweeting, because he is silent now when he's dog whistling to his supporters to go and violently take over a headquarters which he has lost in court about it, in the High Court, and which has a peace order, which there is a peace order against him coming anywhere close, or his supporters coming anywhere close to Harvest House. I will leave it there for now, Kambakwe, but I noted a lot from his speech that needed our attention.
Okay, so I take note of what you have said, and I think the listeners are also taking note of what you have said. And I want to just mention that the particular question that I asked has not been answered. Chamisa said, if he's not allowed to use the name MDC Alliance in December, there will be no election. He didn't say that he will boycott. He says there will be no election. What is your comment on that?
Yeah, but that's what I've just commented on. You probably did not hear. That's the dog whistling that I'm talking to as well. He used it about Harvest House. He's also using it there. That's what he's telling his supporters, that go out and be violent, like they did in that January protest, where they went about and bent down all show pieces throughout the country and vandalized. You've seen. You just come and see what they've done in Bulawayo. That's what he's saying. That's the signal he's sending to his followers. So I hope that Mmusi Maimane is taking judicial notice. I hope that the US Embassy is taking judicial notice. I hope that all these loud mouths that speak out of ignorance, or maybe let me retract that because it's not helpful. No, sorry. No, let me retract that. That's not helpful. All these people that critique out of willful ignorance are taking judicial notice of all of this, because it's not helpful. It's really not helpful at all. Violence does not pay. It doesn't help for him to speak a non-violent language and also send signals to his people to go and be violent as they have been in the past.
Okay, so you are the first people to say you're going to use the MDC Alliance name. He already had the MDC Alliance name. Are you not going to use it? No, but you contested the elections as MDC-T. So the announcement that you're going to use the MDC Alliance name was only made last week. Don't you think for the sake of peace, you should also compromise?
No, the court has already pronounced itself on this matter, my friend. The alliance agreement said Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, by the virtue of him being the MDC-T president, is also the MDC Alliance president. The major stakeholder or the people behind the MDC Alliance is MDC-T.
Okay, so I get that, and we covered this last week, so I don't want us to repeat it here. And so for the sake of the people who have just joined us, you have said that the MDC-T is not going to be recalling 38 more MPs. They are not going to be recalling hundreds of councillors. That's not the decision that was made at the standing committee. You've also spoken about the speech that was made by Nelson Chamisa, and you said that he's calling for violence because the statements that he made are inciting his supporters. Exactly. And now let's go to the next point, which is what Tendai Biti said. Tendai Biti, in fact, let me play for you the clip so that I don't speak for him, and you can answer the question afterwards.
Takazonofoma tikaenda ku Congress kwedu yekutanga kuchitungwiza province musi wa 26 January 2000 pano pachitungwiza. I remember comrade president ava vari kamukomana kune vamwe vakutinetsa vanga vasipo in 2006 wongoridza kutsaku iwewe wakuti swede but as late as 2006 wongoridza kutsaku. Vamwe maininava National Working People's Convention, she wasn't even there. In the first national executive of the MDC, the interim executive, Yatakaita ku Waterfall Zoo, there were 4 women who were there. Porina Mpariwa, Sekai Holland, na Trudy Stevenson. Iwongori kupi. Waku sodoboka to gogo, to sodoboka to gogo. You see, we cannot allow Emerson Mnangagwa to do the impossible thing of becoming the leader and president of the alternative and the leader and president of the ruling party. We cannot allow that. It's nonsense. But it's rubbish. And we, the people, we say no to rubbish.
Right. Mr. Phugeni, you saw that statement. This was repeated by Chamisa and Wende. They said something similar to this. And specifically, the fact that Dr. Thokozani Kupe was not the one who was left in position by Morgan Tsvangirai, and also that she was not there in the beginning. She is an imposter. You heard that. What is your comment on that?
All right, this is what I will do, Kambakwe, and I think I've told you this. I will not stoop to their level of insulting and denigrating people. I won't do that. It's distasteful, but it's their type of politics. So I am not able, with a clean conscience, to go there. Zimbabweans deserve better. They don't eat insults. So if they want to trade insults with ZANU, they will trade insults with ZANU. But I think they are the ones who seem to major in the politics of insults and denigrating other people. Now you want facts of who started MDC-T. I need that is what you want. You want facts, right? Let me give you facts. ZCTU was involved in negotiations. I think they were called tripartite negotiations. It was government, it was labor, ZCTU representing labor, and then it was business. That's why they call tripartite, because there were 3 components: government, labor, and business. And when ZCTU realized that the government was negotiating in good faith, and they raised their concerns, the then president of the country, President Mugabe, said to them, put yourselves in the scale. And if you think you are worthy opponents, go and form yourself as a political party and come and fight us. That's what Mugabe said. The delegation of the ZCTU left. It included Dr. Kupe, by the way. They left, they went to ZCTU. They sat in their executive. They agreed that they must form a political party. And 8 people were then seconded to start a political party. Very, very critical. You know that the MDC is a brainchild of ZCTU. I think that's common knowledge, it's not disputed. ZCTU deployed 2 people in terms of females to be in charge or to be a member of the 8 people that were then tasked with starting this political party. Those 2 females were Honorable Pauline, who was the chairperson of the women's wing of ZCTU. The second female was Dr. Thokozani Kupi, who was the general secretary of the female wing of ZCTU. Dr. Twangirai was the general secretary of ZCTU. The late Gibson Sibanda was the president of ZCTU. Vachimanikire, who is now our deputy organizing secretary, is one of the people who was deployed there. I can list them. I didn't know you were going to ask me this. 8 of them. That was before the BTs and the Nubes and other people were involved. This was a ZCTU process. Dr. Kupe went throughout the country, mobilizing for the People's Convention that he's talking about. The interim leadership he's talking about, Dr. Kupe was involved in putting up together. She was part of the first national executive of the MDC. She mentioned 3 women there. She said 4 women, she mentioned 3. Why don't you ask yourself who's the 4th woman? Because, he mentioned 3, not she. He mentioned 3. Who is the 4th? He said 4, but he mentioned 3. Now,
right. So
never mind what he's talking about. I am saying to you, this is a matter of historical record. Dr. Kupe is one of the 8 people deployed by ZCTU to start MDC-T. Now, if you are a normal person, if you are normal and using logic, if someone is part of the delegation that goes to argue with President Mugabe, and President Mugabe says, if you think you are equal, start a political party, and then goes back and briefs the ZCTU, and ZCTU says, we want 8 people to start that political party. And amongst those 8 people, you are part of that 8. And then someone who's not part of ZCTU, which is the mother of MDC, and then says you were not there, you did not form, you came later. I don't know, whatever he's taking, it must be too strong even for him.
Okay. So, Mr. Phugeni, the reason why I asked you this question is many people want a united opposition, and something seems to be standing in the way. And it seems these are petty issues. Even yourself, you mentioned that these are petty issues. Are you committed as the MDC-T to almost a negotiation to form a broad-based opposition, which is what Chamisa spoke about yesterday? He says he wants an opposition that is united, but he does not trust you. What are you doing as the MDC-T to gain that trust?
All right, Kambako. Because you seem to think that we enjoy the fragmentation. We don't enjoy the fragmentation. Have you ever heard us insult anyone? Have you ever?
Not from you. I've not heard insults from you. I've not heard insults. Well, there's obviously the trading of words between people in your party. At your Congress, there were also words thrown at Chamisa's people.
No. I'm saying to you, I'm the official spokesperson of the party. I also happen to speak for Dr. Kupe. You have not heard Dr. Kupe insult Nelson Chamisa. You've never heard us insult him. You have never heard anyone from the podium of the party insult Nelson Chamisa or the MDC Alliance.
Well, they called him a G40.
No. Wait. I'm talking of insults. You have just played me a video here, Dr. Kupe being denigrated. There's nothing political about that. That's an insult. That's denigrating a person. And at least if he was telling facts or narrating the truth, I would understand. He is making up a lie and goes ahead to insult a woman because he thinks he can. And why does he think like that? Because there's a market for it. Society tolerates it. The media tolerates it. Why are you not appalled by that type of behavior? Do you think there are no insults that I can throw at Honorable Pete?
I'm personally appalled.
No. This is important. I am saying to you, knowing what is known about Honorable Pete, it's known, it's public knowledge. Don't you think I've got no insults? When he was in studio, with the former Deputy Minister of Finance, and he started, Honorable Pete insulted him, and he insulted back. Do you think I don't have the capacity to say the same insults and throw those insults at him? But I'm not doing that. You know, I'm not
that's
doing
exactly
that.
what I'm saying. Those are petty issues. Zimbabweans don't want you guys to insult each other. They want a united opposition.
Kambakwe, I want you to pick an obvious distinction between us and them, because you're asking why. I'm showing you an obvious distinction. I am not throwing insults at him when there are so many which I could throw at him. Why am I not doing that? I'm a decent human being. Not only am I respecting him, I'm also respecting my listeners, because data is very expensive and their time is very expensive. They are not here to see how well or how low I can sink in insults. So the video which you played me right now, it's appalling. It's disgusting that people are sitting there and they find that entertainment and they clap hands. So this country is what it is. The saying which I'm repeating in your show now, people deserve the leaders they have. Those people deserve each other. They are disgusting behavior. What they find funny is not funny at all. And I won't stoop to their level. And I wish you, as a media personality, you can see the distinction. These are not small things. Insults, violence, burning people in hearts, tribalism, all those things. Those are the things that you need to get rid of. Otherwise, you can't say we are opposition. We are opposing what? Because we're opposing violence. We're opposing tribalism. We're opposing politics of insults by Mugabe. But they are doing it now. So what type of opposition are they?
Okay. The question that I want us to answer is what Chamisa said, which is he wants a united opposition and he is not uniting with you because he thinks you are not genuine. Are you genuine? Are you willing to work for unity so that the opposition can win and stand a chance to win against ZANU-PF?
We are committed to working with anyone who subscribes to the values of democracy. Anyone who subscribes to the values of democracy, will work with them. Now, let me make a statement which will shock you. We are willing to work even with ZANU-PF in as far as they subscribe to the principles of democracy. You see, for us, it means nothing to say, let's all unite against ZANU. So what do? We insult each other, insult other people. We beat them. We burn them in hearts. We throw stones. That's not, what purpose does that unity serve? If ZANU woke up today and they are saying, we subscribe to the values of democracy, we'll rather work with ZANU than people who claim that they are opposition, and their opposition is insults, their opposition is lies. Chamisa yesterday was speaking about ministers that are lying. He may well be telling the truth, and he's correct. We must shun and we must frown at government that lies. But how about the opposition that lies?
Okay. I don't think many people will be satisfied with that answer because, as I say, the MDC has had so many splits, and the younger generation in the MDC is continuing with the culture of splitting. As we speak right now, the issues that you are fighting against each other for, I don't think they are people see them as substantive issues. They see them as minor issues.
What is minor? What is minor about violence?
Well, let me explain this. You are talking about violence that happened in 2018. That is violence you're talking about in 2020.
Violence that was incited yesterday. What about violence that was incited yesterday?
Okay, I am not aware of it. Which incident is this?
You are the one who spoke about, you actually, the first person to use the word incitement is you. In his speech yesterday, he said, if we are not in the ballot paper or we are not allowed to use MDC alliance, there will be no elections, which was incitement. He said, if we wanted with them there or the police, we can all march there and take over Harvest House. That's what he said. That's incitement to violence. Remember, there is a court order against them. Remember, there is a peace order that bars them from coming anywhere close to Harvest House. That's incitement to violence.
Okay, to many Zimbabweans, this is not important. The fights between the two sides, who was there when the MDC was formed, who was left, the vice presidents. To many Zimbabweans, these are minor things. People want bread and butter.
We are imposing a difference between us. I didn't say that is the difference. I told you the difference. The difference is violence. Is violence as a tool for political mobilization. It can't be a minor thing to voters. If they deem that minor, then they have no clue what exactly they want. It's not minor, Kambaku. What is minor about burning people in the heart? Are you that desensitized? Are you that desensitized?
But we cannot stay in 2018.
That desensitized to violence. There's nothing minor there.
We cannot stay in 2018. We have to move on. That happened in 2018.
To violence yesterday. He made it clear that if he wants, he can march there. No one can stop him. That's what he said. That's not 2018. It was yesterday.
But there's violence within the MDC-T. Right now, among yourself, there was people who beat each other up at your own Harvest House. And you're working together. Why can't you work with Chamisa and still deal with the issues of violence the way you're dealing with the issues of the group that was beating up your bodyguards?
We owned up to that violence. We faced it head on. We didn't lie. We didn't glorify it. We dealt with it. There is no more violence at Harvest House. It's over. It's gone. Because we did not lie about it. We confronted it as honest, with integrity as possible. And we've dealt with it. And we are expecting you to do the same. There was incitement to violence yesterday. And here you are and you are saying it's minor. It is not minor. It's huge. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. You think next time when he's saying he wants to do something, you think the state is not going to deploy a serious security forces. The state is going to deploy. And then you are going to cry and say the state is militarized. And then you are going to go and call the ANC. The ANC will come here. The ANC will get that video played for it. And the ANC will turn back and say, actually, there's no crisis. There are challenges in both countries. Because you are not honest with yourself. You are cheating yourselves, even as media personalities. You should condemn the incitement that happened yesterday.
Okay, let me do this, Mr. Phugeni. I condemn what Chamisa said. When he said that if they're not allowed to use the name MDC alliance, there will be no election. I think that is incitement to violence. I also condemn what he said.
And no one can stop him. That's what he said.
Right, I condemn those two. Let's say we take that off the table. What is stopping MDC-T and MDC alliance and PDP and all the other 7 alliance parties sitting down and talking so that Zimbabweans can have a strong opposition party?
We have never refused talking, by the way. You must go and ask the churches. You know, this, I think it's ZCC. If it's not ZCC, they'll forgive me, but it's one of the national church groupings, you know, where different spiritual leaders are gathered. They have asked for a dialogue. Everyone has agreed except them. So we have never said no to a dialogue. We have never, you know that. They are the ones who are saying no to a dialogue with us. We are the principled ones here. You seem to be, as the High Court in Bulawayo said, you seem to be riding on the platform of more bureaucracy. You are throwing away principles and values and whatsoever, simple because he's got people. No. There are values here, my friend. There are values that we must all ascribe to. Why don't you learn lessons? You did this in 2017 with the military invasion. The majority wanted the military invasion. You rode on it. Today, you are pointing at President Mnangagwa, even after he's now been duly elected. Hey, he's a coup president. Hey, he's a what. You were all behind it. I was against it. You can go to those WhatsApp groups that I'm in the diaspora coalition. You will see. I said, I do not want the military involved in our politics. And I stood firm there. I have not changed. You are the ones that keep changing because you are so obsessed with more bureaucracy. You sacrifice the values and principles on the altar of more bureaucracy. And you are where you are today as a country. And here you are angry with me because I support a duly elected government. I cannot go against this government because tomorrow when I'm elected, I want them to support me. Do you think you can out-violence ZANU? Do you think you can do that? Do you think that Chamisa can muster enough violence against this government or against ZANU? He can't do that. That is why every time he's supposed to lead a demonstration, he disappears. He then calls people who were courageous, who heeded his call and got involved in a demonstration, posthumously so. He calls them stupid. So don't take his bet of violence because he's not going to be there. His wife is not going to be there. His children are not going to be there. His close family people are not going to be there. It's your children. It's you, the journalist. It's my friends that are going to be there because I'm surely not going to be there. No child of mine will be involved in this stupid, sorry, let me not use that word, in this nonsense road that is trying to take us down through. We're not going there.
Okay. Right, Mr. Phugeni, I do agree with you on the violence part, and I want us to get over that because we cannot solve it here. Chamisa is not here to answer, and one day maybe he'll be able to give us an answer when the 5 December elections have arrived and we see what has happened. So I want us to summarize for people who have joined later. You said that there's not going to be a recall of 38 more MPs. There's not going to be a recall of hundreds of councillors. I'm sorry, I think we've lost Mr. Phugeni. He is in Zimbabwe, and as you know, the network there can become a challenge at times. So let me continue to summarize what he said. There will be no recall of 38 more MPs. There will be no recalls of hundreds of councillors from the MDC alliance. That is not what was agreed during the standing committee meeting. And he's also spoken a lot about Nelson Chamisa's speech yesterday at the 21st MDC celebration. And he said Chamisa incited violence. He also talked about Tendai Biti's claim that Dr. Tokzani Kupe was not there when the MDC was formed, and he explained how the MDC was formed. And in terms of working with the MDC Alliance, he said they have attempted through the churches to talk to the MDC Alliance, but the MDC Alliance has refused to come to the dialogue. Everyone else has agreed. So the last question that I was supposed to ask Mr. Phugeni was to do with Congress. And unfortunately, we've lost him. We've lost Mr. Phugeni. We're not able to ask him what is going to happen with the Congress process. So what I promised to do is I promised that during the week, I'm going to ask Mr. Phugeni to come and talk to us and explain what is happening with the Congress process. Now, let me go through the comments. I want to quickly close this discussion because it's almost an hour and it's very late. I want to look at the first comment here by Fadzito, which says, bring Fadzai. I have personally approached Fadzai Mahere myself. I have written a WhatsApp, which has not been responded to. So when the time comes and she's able, I'm going to invite her here to speak. I have also offered her through Phugeni. You heard Phugeni last week. He said, if Fadzai Mahere wants to come here, Advocate Fadzai Mahere wants to answer questions or they talk, they have a debate, she's welcome, and my number is always available for us to arrange. I talk to Phugeni every week on Sundays. So if Fadzai Mahere is available, if she wants to give the official position of the MDC Alliance, she's welcome to do so. Let's look at another comment here. Chamisa, you've been losing since you took power from Morgan. So when is he going to win? I think that's another comment there. Elected by whom? That is to Phugeni. And then there will be elections in future without these MDCs. They are stray parties. So these MDC parties, they will have to go away before the other elections, proper elections. Let me see if there's anything else here which is right. There is this comment here. I want to end with this comment here from Eustace Kanyemba. Why should Nero or Alliance go to your camp and join hands? It is you guys who should join hands with Alliance. Alliance was formed by MT, not by anyone in your camp. So if you ever want respect, then go to Alliance. That MT left behind, that is the Alliance Kupe, had Kupe out of it. End of story. So Kupe was not in that MDC Alliance that Morgan Tsvangirai formed. This is what Eustace says here. I want to end it here. This is an endless discussion. The fights between MDC-T and MDC Alliance is an endless fight. Something will have to be done to bring these two sides together. Otherwise, 2023, I do not see the opposition winning. And if Mnangagwa wins in 2023, there won't be even a need to go to the Supreme Court. You can see when we're still here in 2020, what is happening. Matabeleland is going to probably vote a lot for Thokozani Kupe. And this is the stronghold. Chamisa got over 160,000 votes in Bulawayo. If only 100,000 people from Bulawayo votes for Thokozani Kupe, then Chamisa has no chance of winning, given that people don't really change much their voting patterns. So something has to be done for this opposition to unite, and I hope they see the vision that every other Zimbabwean is seeing. So I want to end it here, and I would like to thank everyone who's watching from YouTube and Facebook. We'll be back later this week. I'm hoping to have Mr. Jacob Ngarivume to join us here to talk about his experience when he was in prison. I'm hoping to have people from ZPP. If you've got your own political party, you're welcome to join us here every day at 9 p.m. We try to come live with a new person so that people can get a different view of what politics is like in Zimbabwe. Right, I was hoping that Mr. Phugeni was going to come back, but unfortunately, he's unable to. So thank you very much for watching, and good night.